When you think of a masjid today, what comes to your mind? A place for prayer, for sermons, maybe an Islamic class or a Friday khutbah. But in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the masjid wasn't just a prayer space. It was the heartbeat of the community. It was the sanctuary for the broken, a school for the eager, a shelter for the poor, a court for justice, a council of leadership, and a home for the lonely. His Masjid ﷺ was more than bricks and walls. It was built on love, service, unity, and remembrance. And in this episode, inshallah, we will explore how the Prophet ﷺ turned that simple structure in Medina into the epicenter of a global movement and what we can learn from it today. When the Prophet ﷺ first arrived in Medina, before building his own home, before establishing governance, before anything, he built the masjid. It wasn't lavish. It had no carpets, no marble, no domes or minarets. The roof was palm leaves, the floor was dirt, the pillars were tree trunks, but the spirit that filled it was divine. He himself, ﷺ, carried bricks to build it. He worked with his hands, shoulder to shoulder with his companions, and as they built, they chanted lines of devotion, their hearts burning with love for Allah and His Messenger, ﷺ. This was not just the building of a structure, it was the building of a community, one brick of faith, one pillar of brotherhood, and one roof of unity. What made his masjid so special? It was a place of prayer and purpose. The 5 daily prayers united everyone, the rich and the poor, the young and the old, the Arab and non-Arab. They stood shoulder to shoulder with no distinction, because in the sight of Allah, all were equal. It was also a school of knowledge where the Prophet ﷺ taught Quran, he gave lessons, he answered questions, and the companions would sit, eager to learn, not just religious rulings, but also how to live, how to forgive, how to be just, how to love for others what you love for yourself. The Ahlus Sufa, the poor companions who lived in the masjid, became some of the most knowledgeable and dedicated members of the Ummah. The Prophet ﷺ welcomed everyone. The children would run through the rows. The Bedouins would interrupt his khutbahs. Even non-Muslims would walk in seeking help, and he never turned anyone away. Once, a Bedouin urinated in the mosque. The companions jumped up, ready to stop him, but the Prophet ﷺ told them to let him finish. Then he gently advised him. Why? Because his masjid was a place of guidance and not humiliation, a place of nurturing and not punishment. Charity was distributed from the masjid. Food was shared, decisions were made, disputes were resolved. It was not just spiritual, it was social, educational, judicial, and emotional. And so the masjid that he built was a hub for social welfare. People didn't just go to the masjid to fulfill a ritual. They went to belong, to sit in the presence of the Prophet ﷺ, to find comfort, to reconnect with their Lord, to strengthen bonds with others. His masjid was a home for the heart. The Prophet ﷺ was never distant in his own masjid. He sat on the floor, he listened with patience. He made every person feel seen and loved. And when a child cried in prayer, he shortened it. When a new Muslim made a mistake, he didn't shout, he smiled. When someone sat quietly in pain, he noticed and asked, because to him every soul mattered. He didn't just lead the prayer, he led the hearts too. And in a time where many masajid have become places of coldness, formality, or exclusion, we must ask, what would the Prophet ﷺ say if he walked into our masjid today? Would he see the mercy that he taught, the unity that he built, or the love that he gave? If our masajid are only for the elite, only for the perfect, only for the well-dressed, then we have drifted far from his example. His masjid welcomed the sinner, the seeker, and the struggler. His masjid healed before it judged. And now reflect, what is your relationship with the masjid? Is it just a place you visit, or is it a home for your soul, a center of growth and a refuge for others? Because his masjid wasn't just a building, it was the beating heart of a living ummah. And to love him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is to bring that spirit back into our own communities.